All right, ladies and gents, we should be up and live today. We're going to talk a little MLB. This is going to be a members-only video, free to the public. Obviously, here for paying members as well. And things are going to be a little bit off today. So it's a weird Saturday schedule. The really big slate starts early in the middle of the afternoon. So the night slate sucks. It's only a couple games. We're going to cover the main slate right now, the big main slate. That'll be it for the day. There's only one NBA game. So I've been burning the candle on both ends the last couple of weeks, so this feels nice to have a little bit of a slower day of sports. So excited. Um, let's get into it, my man.
Yeah, let's get after it. We got a fun slate to talk about. I'm excited to break it down with you. I actually, like I mentioned with you, before you messaged me, I'd already started making this video solo. So I feel like I already got a pretty good read on it.
All right, man. Well, then I'll let you roll. You got any hot takes or who are your pitchers today? And I'm going to assume one of them is our boy Marquez.
Yeah, so I got three pitchers I'm looking hard at, and none of them are the guys up top. I'm looking at Marquez, Kikuchi, and Fried. And it seems to me like Burns is getting a lot of love. I got no issues with Burns. I think it's pretty easy to get there. I think there are some, pause for causes, though. Causes for pause, excuse me. One, it's Pittsburgh. We don't love picking on Pittsburgh. They don't strike out a ton. See Woodruff yesterday. And then also, I hadn't even mentioned this to you yet, but Woodruff and Burns are two of the guys with like the highest spin rate, improvements over the past couple seasons. So I am interested to see what happens with those guys.
Okay. All valid points. Marquez, just to kind of break him down, is a guy that, has been a 5-pack favorite for a long time. He was great a couple seasons ago. Been a little bit more up and down the last few seasons, but he has been locked in over the last month. Just, dominating at home. One road start, he was really, really good. He's starting to look like that dude again.
Yeah, he really is. In a fine spot against the Reds. He's just too cheap, right? He's just way too cheap. I mean, I don't know. It makes no sense to me that cook off these guys that like Rich Hill, who hasn't thrown more than 60 pitches or 56 pitches in the past two games, is $3K more than him.
Yeah, Marquez on the flip side of that, where are his pitches? Why is he so low? Why are they taking him out so early? I get in the 7-inning game against Texas, a lot of times you don't want to let your guys go longer than 7, but 88 pitches there, out after 86 pitches last time, only 62 against the Mets. This doesn't take me off of him. I'm just kind of wondering why he's not throwing it a little bit deeper into the game.
I got no concerns with that. So 7 innings against Texas, the Mets game, he threw a complete game. And then the Oakland start, I mean, I have no idea why. Maybe they needed a pinch hitter. Just not something I'm concerned with at all, personally.
It was a bunch in a row, so I didn't realize the Mets game was a 7-inning and he didn't have to pitch in that one. So that makes more sense.
That makes it, that changes things a lot when you take away that 68 pitch game for sure.
All right, Max Fried. Is he your favorite, third favorite, middle? Not sure yet.
I mean, I like all three of these guys, Fried, Kikuchi, and Marquez. I like them all about the same. I think Fried's too cheap. I don't love picking on Miami, but I think he's a better than $7,400 pitcher. I don't think he's going to win the slate for us, but I expect him to get 17 to 20 DK points here.
Fair enough. And then the last guy up, we're talking about Kikuchi, who, you're not afraid of your Cleveland offense?
No, not in the least. I guess, after just talking this out with you briefly, obviously, Kikuchi, I guess, would be my least favorite. But it's close. I think he's also too cheap. I think he's in a fine spot. I respect his stuff. I think he's in a decent chance to get the win against McKenzie today. I don't know. What's your take on these guys?
Well, I'm the biggest fan of Marquez. I think he has the most strikeout upside. He also is probably going up against I don't even know if I would say the best offense, because since he's still missing Moustakas, although they got Fajardo back, worst ballpark he has is for working against him as well.
He does have a bad ballpark, and the Reds, between the offenses of the teams I'm talking about, the Reds have the best offense. Not the best offense slate, but between the Fried and Kikuchis of the world. I guess really though, I wanted to talk to you. When you first look at this slate, what's your take on Burns?
My take on Burns is, again, I wasn't expecting to be on this video with you, so I haven't looked at the slate nearly as long without knowing about the offenses. So I don't slow down for 1 second. When it comes to Pittsburgh, for a lot of people who maybe don't watch the baseball as closely, they're a pathetic offense. That part's not really much up for argument, but they don't strike out a lot. They're actually one of the lowest K rates in baseball. So that is something that you don't actually get as many monster upside games out of them because your pitch count elevates quickly. They work counts. They're not good, but they work the count. Milwaukee's a hard place to pitch this time of the year because the ball pops out of there. He was as good as I've ever seen him the other day against Arizona. So I know for you don't like to watch guys who just threw more pitches than they've ever pitched either. So I like Burns to potentially be the highest scorer right here, but I'm not expecting a dominant performance like he did the other day against Arizona.
Same. He's obviously in play here. He's averaging 10 more DK points than anyone else on the slate. I think about what you said yesterday, though. Like, you're not going to have tons of games against Pittsburgh where, like, you have, like, the 15 Ks. That said, like, if Burns is on tonight, look at DeGrom last night. Absolutely cut off the Padres. So when these ace pitchers are on, they can get through anyone. I will say, though, like, I do think Cease might have slightly higher upside than Burns in this spot.
So, again, we'll go back to the differences. Detroit and Pittsburgh are – you can make the argument they're the two worst teams in baseball. They're up there with a couple of other teams, Diamondbacks, Rockies. Yeah, it's semantics at this point. We know they're not good. But Detroit will strike out a lot more than Pittsburgh will, or at least have a lot more of those monster strikeout games. So I have no argument that Cease's upside might be higher. And if you want to play for that, things working against him, thing you hate. He just saw Detroit the other day. That doesn't bother me a ton, but I don't like it. It's definitely it's advantage hitter for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually have a hard time choosing between Cease and Burns. So I like those cheaper guys. I think that's probably where I land. I think you can make the strong case for either or both Cease or Burns, and then the drop-off's real after them.
I think we could say this one pretty simply. If you need 10 points or somebody's going to hurt one of your family members, you're betting on Corbin Burns. That is an easy choice. If you're looking for 35 today, Cease's odds of getting there are probably just as good.
Yeah, agreed with that. That's how I see it. And then every other pitcher on the slate, like I feel like Rich Hill, Pivetta, Stroman, Cobb, all these guys are too expensive.
How about
Musgrove is the guy I was looking at.
Okay, because Musgrove to me, without having looked at the slate for a long time, was a guy I thought was wildly in play. Again, we don't love that he just saw the Mets. Side note of that, he did get 10 strikeouts that game. And if he pitches a little bit better and has the same K upside, could easily, improve upon the 20 points that he put up the other day.
When I first started looking at the slate and I was just focused on like the expensive pitchers, I was like, okay, Burns, Cease, Musgrove. I was like, probably choose between them, not realizing there were three cheaper pitchers I liked. But of the guys on this page, I think it's definitely Burns, Cease, Musgrove, and no one else for me. I tried to make the case when I was doing the video solo for McKenzie because he's coming off a couple decent starts.
Good call on your Cleveland pitcher yesterday. He was fantastic. Smalley.
Yeah, I didn't use him, but it's funny. He gave up a leadoff single and then no more hits the rest of the game. Impressive. McKenzie has been okay the past two starts. He's got 18 DK points. He had a stretch last time out where he struck out 8 consecutive White Sox. So I think at 8K, he has upside. However, I was really just looking at him before I focused in on Fried, Kikuchi, and Marquez.
I gotcha. So gun to head, though, I still like Marquez. Hardest matchup, worst ballpark. I just think he's the best pitcher there as far as DFS upside. It's kind of like Tariq Skubal yesterday. Is Marquez finding that magic he had a couple of years ago, or has he just been in the midst of a hot month? And we saw Skubal last night come back down to earth as you expected.
Yeah, I think if I were making one lineup right now, it's Marquez Fried.
Okay. I gotcha. All right, let's move over to some of the offenses on the day. We can go from there. So first game, we got Philly against New York. We got Velasquez against Tyon. Probably not like dying to pick on these pitchers, but they're both very capable of being blown up on any given day. You have any hot takes on this game?
No, I don't. I think that you could make the case for either side, but probably not where I land.
Yeah, that's kind of one of these games where like I could actually make an argument for either of these pitchers because these are two strikeout heavy teams. I could also make a case for either offense, especially Philly lefties against Tyon. Velasquez is a guy that he's definitely pitching better this season than we've seen in a while. Take out that bad start against Cincy, he'd been more solid lately than we'd seen the last couple of years. He's got decent stuff. I'm probably just not vibing on this game too hard from anyone's side.
Yeah, I would actually use Velasquez. I think I would definitely use him over Tyon. And I think that if I had to pick a side of this game, it might be Velasquez.
What about Bryce Harper at only 4,700?
Yeah, he's getting some love when I looked at ownership. I get it. I mean, there's a lot of good hitters on this slate, so I get the Philly love. I don't think Harper's a bad play, but I'm not prioritizing him, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Harper, he's not playing awful right now, but this is one of the streakiest quote-unquote studs that there is. When he is locked in, this is the guy that, like, at the end of the year, he puts up, like, the majority of his numbers in, like, one quarter of the season, right?
Yes.
He goes on these stretches where you're like, okay, damn, maybe he is better than Mike Trout.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Herrera, if he hits leadoff today too, is not a bad play. You know, he's relatively cheap. If you're trying to get up to more high-priced pitchers, Taillon's always been more prone to left-handed bats.
Sure.
All right. Kansas City is against Oakland. Is Oakland going to be real popular today after this kid got blown up in his first start? Look at that ERA.
I know.
Oh, man.
They're not even coming in right now as, like, supreme chalk. I'm not sure why.
All right. I'm going to make a bold statement, and you tell me if you agree. At the end of the day, Jackson Cowers' ERA will take an improvement.
I agree.
Poor young guy.
Yeah. It sucks, but hey, it's the nature of the beast.
You know, we kind of just bypassed Caprillion, who had been solid so far. I'm not looking to use him here, but I'm probably not trying to pick on him either.
Same. Another one. It kind of reminds me of that first game. Like, I think you can make the case for basically anything in this game, which kind of takes me off at all.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to go anywhere, if you're telling me that Oakland is not abundantly chalky, I will have some interest just because.
They're facing power. And I'll say this, man. I mentioned it yesterday that he hit the ball hard a bunch 2 nights ago. Salvador Perez, like, if you can get up there, he is just locked in right now.
He's a good hitter, and he's a good hitter at a weaker position. And with all these pay down options at pitcher, not difficult to afford at all.
He's got the most hard hit balls of anyone in baseball this year.
He's having a great season, no doubt about it.
So, again, I think Olson's probably the best piece of Oakland.
Well, I mean, he's clearly their best hitter with Laureano out and everything like that. So, again, also not that difficult to afford somebody like that today if you're trying to pay down.
One guy for sure that I think I can get on board with, especially if you like Oakland, is Matt Chapman. 3 hits yesterday, I think. Saw the ball really well. Was locked in every at bat. Like, I could see this kind of being a jumping off point for him. Maybe not. Maybe he goes back to zeros because he's leading the league in Ks. But big buying signs for me last night from him.
Okay. For those of you who don't catch all the members only videos, you alluded to maybe 2 weeks ago that you'd heard some rumors there's some underlying health issues with Matt Chapman that's been affecting his hitting this year. Maybe he's just getting healthier.
Yeah, maybe. Good point.
Maybe. We don't know, right? We're not, you can't feel what somebody else is feeling.
Nope.
All right. Next game up, we got, again, Colorado against Cincy. Wade Miley against German Marquez. This is definitely more of a pitching-oriented game for me. If you want to take a chance on Trevor Story against a lefty, all right. But, Story's kind of doing what we expected to do this year, is not play as well without the protection.
For sure. I probably like the Rockies more than you do. What else is new?
That's every day.
He got shelled by Colorado the last time he saw them. And probably my favorite hitter on the slate is Brendan Rodgers. 3K, homered last night, homered the night before, flew out to the deepest part of the park, hitting second at 3. If I'm making one lineup, he's definitely in there.
There you go. And then obviously we're not really big on Cincinnati bats today then, based on the fact that we're big Marquez fans. And, the guy I'd be the most interested in is Jesse Winker, and he's damn near 6K.
Yeah, exactly. Feel you all the way around there.
All right, Milwaukee against Pittsburgh. Again, we almost never use Pittsburgh bats. You're definitely not going to do that against Corbin Burns. And then you get Chad Kuhl, who's, I don't know, not that cool of a pitcher. I can get on board with a couple of Milwaukee bats. I'm not, in love with them in this spot, but Yelich is definitely starting to see the ball better. Another walk and extra base hit last night. He's super pricey, though.
God, he's got a monster game coming, doesn't he?
Probably. He's going to have a big game here sooner or later. It's hard to, prioritize his 6,100 salary.
For sure. And there are a ton of spots on this slate where it's like this hitting is slightly better than the pitcher, but like you don't like. There's just a lot of good spots on this slate.
For sure. Cool's another guy, best of my memory, always been significantly more prone to left-handed bats. So Narvaez, Vogelback. I mean, they're all in play. I don't love the Brewers or anything like that, but there's a bunch of guys you can get here on the cheap. I brought up Urias yesterday. I think he didn't do much, but again, batting lead off, having a solid month and stuff like that.
For sure.
All right, we got Miami against Atlanta tonight or this afternoon. Thompson against Fried. What do you know about Zach Thompson?
Not much.
Same here.
I think this is a bullpen game.
Okay. Also in Miami, home runs win tournaments. Not that you can't have a 4 or 5 home run performance in Miami. They come a lot less frequently than in Cincinnati, Milwaukee, et cetera, et cetera.
That they do. Atlanta, like at least their best pieces though, are slightly interesting if they're not going to get any love.
I mean, Acuna is interesting every day, so
it's like it's hard because Yelich, who we just talked about, and there's 10 other guys right there. It's probably in a little bit of a better spot on paper, but Acuna is facing the cheapest pitcher on the slate and probably won't get any love. So that in itself has me a little interested. Probably not where I sell my soul though.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right. San Diego against the Mets. Stroman against Musgrove. I like both of these pitchers. I'm definitely not looking for offense in this game. Not saying it can't exist, but it's not where I'll be planting my flag.
I don't like either pitcher enough to use them, I don't think, but I don't like either hitters. I'm with you there. I like the pitchers more than the hitters in this game.
Agreed. All right.
This one's potentially interesting.
Yeah, so we got a couple of guys right here who've had nice moments in their career, and they've also had gas can moments in their career. Like, who's showing up today? It's a tough question. It looked like Caleb Smith was an emerging ace. Was that 2 years ago now?
Yeah, 2 or 3 must have been, right?
I think 2, but he's had some injury issues. He switched teams.
It's because of the COVID year. It's so hard for me to go back and remember what year is which.
For sure, no arguments on that one. He's looked better this season. At least to the point I'm not trying to go out of my way to pick on him. I'm not saying he can't get blown up today, but I'm not super excited about trying to get after him today, I guess is the best way to look at it.
I don't disagree. I do think that Rendon and Upton look like they're in play, if nothing else. Both of them getting love, and I get it.
For sure. Upton, again, having a nice season, playing pretty well right now. He's walking. He makes a lot of sense. And Rendon's at least showing some signs recently.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the Arizona offense is in a similar spot to the Angels, and I think these offenses are kind of similar.
Yeah, no arguments on that. Without Mike Trout, no doubt about that. Alex Cobb's another one. We've seen this guy with, if you look back early in his career, this guy was a pretty good pitcher, and then he was hurt, and he was awful, and then he pitched well to start the season. Then he looked good, and then he looked bad. So Alex Cobb can be anybody on any given day. Your guess is as good as mine as which Alex Cobb shows up today.
There are a ton of wild card pitchers and hitting spots on this slate. I think this is, for me at least, the biggest. I could see Cobb throwing a gem here. I could see Arizona winning the slate.
Agreed. It's a wild card game. I think I'm more likely to get to the offenses, but I'm not going to sit on this video and tell you guys that, hey, I love the Angels today, or I love the Arizona Diamondbacks today. I can get why you would. It's just not something that I really am, overly impressed by.
I couldn't agree more.
So, all right, keep moving down the list. Toronto against Boston. Pivetta against Steven Matz. How you feeling about Matz today?
I'm definitely not using him. I'll tell you that much.
No doubt.
How much you love Boston? I think the Boston guy's got to be in play here. They crush lefties, right?
Specifically J.D. Martinez, who's very affordable for who he is. Hunter Renfroe probably be in the middle of the lineup today.
Xander.
Yeah, Xander may not. He was not expected to play Saturday, so that's not good for him, but doesn't take you off him.
No, it does make him a little bit cheaper. A guy like Christian Arroyo's hitting it really well right now. Gets the platoon advantage. So, yeah, I don't know. I think Boston's in play.
For sure. And then Pivetta. I know Pivetta's a guy that you've really started to develop a soft spot for this season.
I have. I'm definitely not using him here, but I'm not like excited about the Toronto stack at all. Probably don't go there. That said, Vlad is amazing. He's like on the Acuna level. He crushes all pitchers alike. He hit he crushed them all so hard off Garrett Richards yesterday. I mean, I probably don't land here today, but he's pretty affordable.
He's amazing. He's very affordable.
So, like as a one-off, I mean, but I respect the cut up that is Jin, and he's much better than who I thought he was. But he's not a guy I'm afraid to pick on a little bit, you know?
Right, especially if it's an elite hitter. And I'm ready to put Vlad in the elite hitter
Yeah.
levels, only because this was what people expected. And then you didn't see it for a while. So you thought, oh, maybe he's not that guy. Turns out he just had to learn how to take care of his body.
Yeah, he's definitely that guy. Maybe took him a little bit to adjust to major league pitching, and that's okay. I mean, it's a different beast.
You know, is he going to be this good for the rest of his career? I don't know. Probably not. Just because if at this pace of what he's done this season, that would apply to almost every player in baseball history.
Correct. He probably won't keep this up forever, but I expect him to be like around this good for his career. This is who I expect him to be.
Yeah, he's a stud, no doubt about it. And he is very affordable. I mean, it's not that 5,100 is cheap, but we've seen this guy at 54, 57, 59, 57. This is the cheapest he's been in a while.
And if you told me like at the end of the year, you know, those were his numbers like multiplied out, and he was like the best hitter in baseball numbers wise, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
No, he might be. Is he the best numbers hitter so far this year? I think he might be.
I think he's like leading the league in homers. I think he's leading the league in RBIs, and he's hitting 340. So he's got to be right there.
Got to be. They also got Biggio back. So again, I'm not really trying to stack against Pivetta. I've always thought he was solid. Needed to work on his composure a little bit, but the stuff was pretty good. And he's been very solid this year. So I'm not trying to go after him, but Toronto can hit anybody. They are an equal opportunity employer. They gave Max Scherzer one of his only bad starts of the year. They've blown up Glass now twice now. They can really get after anybody. And you got affordable pieces like Biggio. You got, Bo Bichette's, $5K, which is not cheap, but we've definitely seen him more expensive. Teoscar Hernandez, Reynold Grichuk, Gurriel. I mean, you can stack Toronto easy today.
They were good last night.
They are good, man. There's a lot of firepower to that offense.
For sure. So, all right, cool.
All right. Rich Hill. Have you heard any explanation to why they're only letting him go 5 innings these days? Like, is there some long game here?
I just said when I was doing the video before we decided to hop on together, like, he's been awesome, but you can't play him at 9-4 when you're not sure he's going to go 60 pitches.
No, you can't. I don't understand how he goes from typical starter, 99, 90, 104, 79. He had 93 in the start before that. Now they pull him after 5. I guess I'm just confused as to the reasoning behind it. I just love to hear an explanation. It's Tampa, so they're weird with how they pitch guys. I'm curious.
Yeah, same. I'm not interested at all in the Baltimore side. I think the Tampa side's in play. Lopez has been better this year than people thought he would. I do think like Tampa has upside to win this slate, but they're real expensive, and I don't think like it's like the best spot.
I'll say the same thing about Jorge Lopez that I say about a couple pitchers. Look, dude, you're not as bad as like the DFS industry makes you out to be. You're not good, so please don't take this as a compliment. It's just going to insult you a little bit less. He got absolutely demolished in his first couple starts of the year. And since then, it's not like he's riddled with quality starts, but he's riddled on starts that are darn near quality starts.
Yeah, definitely. Tampa at home, so you lose an at bat there. Like, I could see them crushing Lopez here, but they're very expensive. So
yeah, and I mean Tampa Bay is an underrated pitching park, so it's not like it's. You look at the dimensions and you feel like it would play advantage hitter, but the ball doesn't travel there very well. It's never been a great park for offense. Doesn't mean today can't be the day, but their best 2 hitters, Rosarina and Meadows, are very, very expensive. So I get it. What's up?
I assume like Brandon Lau is also very expensive. I mean, I'm sure those aren't the only 2. Not awful, but still not like cheap.
Yeah, he's not too bad at all. Wendell kind of in the same mold. So I understand Tampa, and I'm certainly not opposed to like mini stacks or one-offs and stuff like that. But I'm probably not like, you're not going to see me with the 3-entry max here. And it's Tampa, Tampa, and Tampa.
Yeah, same. Honestly, I think after looking at it, the one guy I could see myself using is Brandon Lau.
Yeah. I do like Joey Wendell, too.
too.
He's also having a nice season. Kind of flying under the radar. A little bit of power, a little bit of speed as well. Not huge power or huge speed, but a little bit of each.
I don't want to sell my soul on Tampa, but I got no problem using some of them here.
Yeah, and again, with all the money you could have.
Yeah.
You know,
You're
Austin
right.
Meadows is having, again, the batting average isn't there, but the power has been around all season long.
Especially like I'm talking about, using two of these cheaper pitchers. Like you can definitely get there.
All right, Cleveland against Seattle, McKenzie against Kikuchi. I don't have a ton of respect for either of these offenses, so I'd say I'm more interested in the pitchers in this one.
Yeah, I am too. You are getting quite a bit of ownership going to the Seattle side, namely like Kyle Seager, who actually, I couldn't believe it, but he was like 25% owned last night against Savali. People were talking about Seattle bats yesterday. It should have just made me lock in Savali. I couldn't believe that Seattle was getting love on a big slate in Cleveland against Savali, who's good. So I think that gets backed up today and they get love. Seager, Crawford, Jake Fraley, who we've talked about. These guys are cheap, and people will want to spend up on Burns and or Cease.
Okay. I'm not
Same.
loving Seattle or anything like that. Kyle Seager at this point to me is a lot more name than anything else. He's batting 205 with a 690 OPS. He's got a few home runs, but he's not that good of a hitter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not using Seattle as a chalkier offense on a slate like this. That's for sure. I don't even love the spot. I actually like McKenzie more than their offense here.
Okay. Gotcha with you. All right. Last up, White Sox against Detroit. Dylan Cease against Jose Urena.
I feel like we've seen this matchup like 10 times. It's probably not true, but
yeah, we just saw it the other day.
I feel like this is not the best matchup for the White Sox because Urena really struggles against lefties. Their two best hitters, Abreu and Anderson, are righties. I mean, those guys are still better than Urena. Still got like Moncada. I don't know though. Like, I'm not sure what to make of the White Sox here. Definitely more in play than Urena. I think we can agree on that.
I agree. I mean, the only things I could use here would be White Sox bats or Dylan Cease. Like nothing on Detroit's in play for me here.
Right. I'm with you.
Urena, he's got a big blow-up start coming.
Yeah, he does.
The reason is he gives up a lot of hits. So kudos to him for finding his way to get through games without consistently getting blown up. But when you look at like the ERA and WHIP, there appears to be some massive ERA regression coming.
Also, like skating by with 1K a game is tough living.
Yeah, I mean, you got Detroit here, which is it's a bigger ballpark, but you got Triples Alley, so it's a good place to get some extra base hits. The ball it kind of pops down the lines a little bit, so you can still get home runs here. It's not like when it first opened up before they moved the fences in 20 years ago, and you just couldn't hit home runs here at all. So I've seen plenty of big offensive game in Detroit, especially in the Midwest when it's hot like this. Either the White Sox getting any projection love for ownership?
They are a little bit. It looks like them, the Angels, and Yankees are like coming in as the three highest. But again, it's very close. There is no team coming in as chalk. And I will say, as far as like the top stack, Osmo has the White Sox as like by far the best chance of being the top stack.
I'm interested to say the very least. Again, he gives up a lot of hits. And hits is what's going to win, right? I mean, obviously home runs and stolen bases.
Yeah, you talk about that a lot. But, you want hits are what wins DFS. Hits and then big home runs.
Yeah. I've heard a rumor the Detroit bullpen's not great either.
It sucks. I don't mind walks and stuff because it turns the lineup over, but ultimately you need the hits.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely get on board with the White Sox the more we talk this out. And I know it's something that, again, we kind of mentioned this earlier. I don't get as deterred by pitchers who just face the same lineup as much as you do. But, I agree with you 1,000,000%. It's always advantage hitter to go up against a pitcher they just saw.
Yeah, at least that's how, we look at it. And
that's how Major League Baseball players tell us to look at it. So I'll take their word on it, right?
Well, I know data has actually come out and said something different on that, which is interesting. Like that the numbers like bear out that really there is no significant difference at all when a starter makes, his second start in a row against the same team. However, I question that a little bit because how do you know, like, what if it's his third start? I don't know. I just think there's a lot of noise in all those numbers, right? I don't know how the data was really figured out. It has made me think about it a little bit, though.
Well, I love conversations like that because it gets into all sorts of different nuances and conversations that we've had before, which is like, it's gone to the point now that ERA is like undervalued as a statistic in baseball. Like, yeah, there are guys who your stats call for regression, but you've been saying that for 7 years. They just know how to get out of innings. And ultimately, while there is some luck attributed to the ERA, and you can call for regression and progression and stuff like that, there are guys who just know how to buckle down at the right moments and get out of innings and not give up runs, and that's important.
I used to always say that when people would say there's no, wins are irrelevant. Like, I agree that they don't mean everything, but there's something to be said for a guy that can figure out how to get a win. And I've heard this like a couple of weeks ago about how the data has shown that if anything, it's slight advantage pitcher seeing a team the next time. I've been hesitant to bring that up because first, I don't know if I believe it. I don't believe it. And then second, I don't even know how to explain it. So the only reason I brought it up is because we're having this conversation. I don't know why. I don't know how the data was driven. I haven't looked into it too much, but it was interesting for me to hear that, after 10 years of starts or whatever, a pitcher making a second start against the same team, the numbers are basically the same.
I mean, it is interesting. I mean, this kind of goes back to another conversation we've had about the BVP statistic and how, like, major league managers, they kind of use the number of, like, I don't care until we get to about 10 at-bats. Once I can see this guy's had 10 at-bats against him, I start wondering, like, oh, so-and-so is 6 of 10 off this guy? Okay, that means something to me. Oh, he's batting 500 off of him. He's 2 of 4. That doesn't mean anything. So then you get the DFS industry, and some people think it doesn't mean anything at all. So I don't know. These are always really fun conversations. And then, you kind of brought up like this one. Like Major League Baseball players tell you it's advantage hitter, but the numbers don't bear that out. So maybe the ball players are just wrong. Maybe that's just how they feel, but it doesn't actually have any like relevance.
Or maybe those numbers just had to do with like, in that span or whatever it is, like good starter, like however it had happened over the past 10 years or whatever, like better pitchers happen to pitch against the same team twice in a row. What happens if those pitchers weren't as good? I think
what's the sample size?
Exactly. With anything like that, there's a lot of noise, and it's especially in baseball, which is making also like kind of the sticky substance stuff really intriguing and interesting.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Fun conversations to have, guys, but that should give you a general idea of how this slate breaks down. You're definitely looking at cheaper pitchers. Matt.
Definitely a fun one to talk about.
For sure. And again, if you like cheaper bats, we talked about the cheaper pitchers, but we did go through Corbin Burns and Dylan Cease. Like Burns is going to get you double digits today.
There's multiple ways to build.
Right? And Cease is like the ultimate wild card on this slate, right?
He was really good that last time out, and he didn't even start off. He had no Ks in the first 2 innings, I don't think.
I mean, just look at this guy's game log if you want to talk about what a wild card. 36, -6. 31, only 6. 15, 14, 37, 41. This guy is all over the board for how he pitches on a daily basis, but his upside is legit. He has 4 monster performances out of his last 8.
I'm just thinking about this because I remember that start. I didn't use Cease, and I was like, oh, 2 innings, no Ks. Like, he's probably not going to be amazing. And then he had 10 Ks in the final 5 innings for him. Like, that's damn impressive.
It's really impressive. And Detroit's terrible. I mean, this is not a secret to the DFS world at this point. Detroit is just god-awful.
And the other thing, man, like, La Russa's giving these guys decent leashes now. Look at Cease's pitch count. Giolito's going deep in games. Like, that's, encouraging.
Yeah, so, I guess if I was trying to rely on my pitching for upside today, maybe my build would be Cease and Marquez, and I would just cross my fingers and hope they both have good days.
And that's easily done. You could go Cease and Burns. I don't think it's hard at all with some cheaper offenses.
Yeah, and you guys know how much I love Corbin Burns, but this game against Pittsburgh today, I expect his stat line to look very similar to his start against Detroit.
Same.
What I mean by that is he's going to go 6 innings, give or take. They're going to make him work. He'll get his 7 Ks, but not 13 like he did against Arizona. And he'll get you 18 to 26 DK points, and it'll be solid. It'll be nice. But he's 10-5. I think the guys that you like down low, they own similar, very could likely hit the same production as him. All that being said, like his floor is nice. Like the start against San Diego was his worst of the year. He still had 16 DK points. He got kind of blown up against Miami. He still had 16 DK points. So you have to feel pretty good about the floor right here. And if you like cheaper bats, he's safer than some of the other guys.
Points per dollar, I like those other guys slightly more. But if I was building my lineups and had the salary to spend up, I would use Burns over those other guys, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. He's just, he's got better stuff. And
yeah.
It's more reliable.
I have to spend, $11K or $10.5 on him today.
Yeah. I mean, but if you don't like the mid-tier guys,
right,
feel free to get on up there. And again, Dylan Cease probably does have higher upside than Corbin Burns today.
I think you'll see quite a few people pair them together.
Well, DK does it these days. Like I feel like they've shifted their algorithms this year that you have a lot more cheaper bats in play every day.
I already talked about Kyle Seager getting love. I mean, and that's why. It's because people want expensive pitching, and I get it.
Yeah, I mean, just think about you just come down here, Justin Upton, Adam Eaton, Tyler Naquin. There's just a variety of guys down here. You're going to have Manuel Margot, Seth Brown, Adubel Herrera. It's so easy to build lineups with cheaper guys.
Remember Brian Goodwin for the Reds and Angels?
Yeah.
He's hitting second today for the White Sox. 2,700.
Again, not a great baseball player, but he's got a little pop and he has some speed too. So there's legit upside right here to be had at only 2,700.
He's a lefty against Urena hitting second.
So I don't know, guys. It's pretty easy to use the top guys if that's who you like.
Yeah, very easy. Yeah, it seems very, very easy. But again, it just means that maybe the other builds don't get as much love. It's a fun slate like that.
Yeah, am I off though? Does it not seem like we have more cheap batters this year than we have in the prior season?
100% agree. It used to be like if you found a starter that was under 3K, you were locking him in.
Yeah, now it's like you got a 10 to 20 starters under 3,200 like every day just in the outfield.
The optimal build almost always is spending up on pitcher now, I think. You can make the case for going different and hoping at your pitchers, and I do that sometimes. But I think on paper, the optimal build is almost always spending up on pitcher nowadays. Unless, some rare days we have like a 5K pitcher or whatever that shouldn't be. Like Gausman, but that's not usual.
Yeah, and in prior seasons, it felt like Max and DeGrom were always 12K, not 10-9. So it became more of a challenge, which maybe they should do again. I kind of liked the idea that you had to sometimes take chances on cheaper pitchers so you could get good hitters. These days, you maybe not getting all the Acuñas in the world that you want, but you got plenty of guys building in the mid-tier that are just way too cheap.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
So, all right, guys, good luck tonight.
Thanks, guys.